AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Cassie Spazzali.
Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Muso.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. LSU Pro Day was today. Sean Fazende was there. He'll be with us in 30 minutes from right now. Every Monday, we visit with David Dellucci, talk about the weekend that was in SEC baseball. Luch, what up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt.
Always our pleasure. Hey, let me start with, I guess, the seismic shift in the SEC this weekend. Paul Mainieri and South Carolina part ways, retired, fired, use whatever phrasing you want. It just didn't work and was really bad. What was your reaction, maybe not only to the decision, but also the timing?
Timing was interesting, right? I mean, in the middle of a series, I think that South Carolina brass had seen enough in game one. I think in the fourth inning, they're down by double digits. Last year, Missouri kind of covered things up because they played so poorly. And this year, South Carolina was sticking out as the bottom of the SEC. And, you look at Coach Mainieri's tenure at South Carolina. I think he was 6-24 last year in the SEC. This year off an 0-4 start. This is a different era, man, and I'm not so sure. We keep talking about Nick Saban and football making a return. The game has changed so much that it's not about X's and O's or how you attack pitchers or approaches. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes now, and getting the trust from your roster, in having to recruit your players year-round. There's so many different variables, and I think the game has just passed. And this is not a statement to take in offense, but the game has passed the older generation. And that's me included. I'm 52 years old. It's a completely different game now than what it was 10 years ago and even 5 years ago.
Luch, how good is the South Carolina job?
Pretty darn good, man. When that program is winning, you can, in the era of NIL, you can ask for whatever you want, and they're going to give it to you. When you're not winning, they're gonna hold their checkbooks close to their back pocket. Remember, not too long ago, they won back-to-back national championships. Fan base is definitely all in baseball over there, and even we saw signs of last year the fan base coming out and supporting the Gamecocks. So I think they've got a burst of energy now. And look, game two, after the press release was out about parting ways with Coach Mainieri, the Gamecocks almost beat Arkansas, and then they win game three. So the talent is there. I think if they show some signs of life, you're going to see money being put back into that program.
David Dellucci is with us. LSU loses a home series to Oklahoma, and they blow a lead, blow a save opportunity there in Game 3 on Saturday. Luch, I'll just kind of give you the big picture question here about LSU, sitting there 2-4 through 2 weeks in conference unranked. What's going on?
too many. It looked like this weekend it was just too many walks, wild pitches, hit by batters, just anything that could go wrong that allowed Oklahoma, which we discussed last week, is a team that takes advantage of the other mistakes being made. They love to create chaos on the bases. They're not going to wow you with slugging the ball out of the ballpark. Pitching staff is pretty decent. They got, their ace got pulled early in Friday's game, so you think, well, they're going to dip into the bullpen, and LSU, I like LSU's chances. But then again, the bullpen came out, and they held the Tigers at bay. So to me, I keep thinking about two things. One is Florida last year started 0-6. They actually started 1-11. They ended up 15-15. They made the NCAA postseason tournament. LSU is 2-4, and this is not like the conference in the past, where at this point you had, I think, 3 or 4 teams that were 5-1, and the year before that you had a couple 6-0 teams. This is a much more congested conference this year, and there's really, difference between a 2-4 and a couple 3-3 teams and 4-2 teams. That's just 2 games behind. So it's a hot weekend or 2 hot streaks and weekends in a row, and they're back in the swing of things. Yeah. The talent is just too good. The talent is going to break out. The question is, are they going to do it early enough to where they're not dug themselves a hole that's too deep to come out?
Yeah, that's a good question. They got Kentucky this weekend, who just dropped the series against Ole Miss, and of course Tigers play Ole Miss coming up in a few weeks. So it's never easy in the SEC. I wanted to ask Luch about what was the biggest series on the marquee, and that was Texas going to Auburn. And the Longhorns went on the road and won that series, but it was super competitive. What was your biggest takeaway from Texas-Auburn?
Auburn's good, man. Gosh darn, they've kind of snuck under the radar. Number 5 in the nation again, I think, for the second week in a row. And they win a nail-biter in Game 1. They lose a nail-biter in Game 2. Competitive, even though they were shut out in Game 3. So they held their own with the best. And that's kind of, Texas is ranked number 2, Auburn's number 5. That's how it's supposed to play out. And who would have thought that here we are, and Auburn's one of the leaders in the conference in ERA and one of the leaders in the conference in batting average. Butch Thompson just gets so much out of his players year in and year out, and we tend to forget that was an Omaha caliber team a couple years ago. I think they've made, 2 appearances in the last 4 seasons. So he's got the program in the right direction. They've got some bats that are starting to heat up. And the Auburn Tigers, they got a big rivalry weekend this weekend with Alabama. I mean, they're going to snap out, and people are going to take notice. Speaking of Alabama, they swept Florida. I'm curious, Luch, which was maybe the bigger takeaway? Was Bama sweeping Florida, or Florida, after sweeping South Carolina a week ago, being swept by Alabama? I think it's Florida being swept, and I think it was Game 3. Florida had 8 walked batters, 4 errors. Like, they did everything they could to give that game up, and Florida just couldn't muster anything. And a pitching staff that is really, really talented did not show up over the weekend. Some really good young hitters did not hit the ball over the weekend, and I mean, they just pulled the chute. A lot of teams were talking about Florida competing for a spot in Omaha, and now I think you have to reconsider both ways. Now, look, Alabama set the tone early on with a no-hitter in Game 1 with Tyler Fay, and we talked about how important it is for an ace to get out there and get momentum in your favor. That stymied Florida's offense a little bit early, but they just couldn't do anything right this weekend. David Dellucci is with us, SEC Network. A couple more for you here, Luch. What about Georgia is interesting to me because maybe this is just a forever conversation about Georgia. Because of the park they play in, they're always going to be offensive at home. The question about Georgia is, can they win when they leave Foley Field? Well, they went and played at A&M this weekend and won the series. So give me your flyover on Georgia at this point, which is ranked in the top 10 in the country. You're going to have to ride the wave with Georgia. They're leading the conference with 80 home runs. And anytime you hit 80 home runs and you're leading the nation in home runs, oftentimes strikeouts come with it. The same thing can be said about the pitching staff. They can throw gas. I mean, they've got almost every pitcher that comes out of the bullpen is throwing upper 90s, sometimes triple digits. Oftentimes when you have pitchers that do that, you're going to have to settle for a bunch of walks. So there's highs and lows with teams like that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the knock on Georgia, everybody can't wait to catch them when they come into their home field because they just don't play well. They have that saying, feed the trees, because they hit the ball out of the ballpark into the trees in Athens. It's a team that Wes Johnson has them believing that they can win every ball game. They just can't do it away from home, and they lost a key player in Trey Phelps over the weekend. Not sure how long he's going to be out. So prolific offense, but there comes a lot of swing and miss with it.
David Dellucci, SEC Network. Luch, any other big takeaway from this weekend that we didn't talk about that you thought was significant?
I think Ole Miss is starting to establish themselves as an offensive powerhouse, and there's a big series coming up. This is kind of rivalry weekend. Ole Miss is going to play State. Curious to see how that's going to go down because State swept Vandy. They looked really good offensively and pitching-wise. And Kentucky hung with them. It was a back and forth all weekend. I think that LSU fans are going to see a very similar team to what they saw in Oklahoma in Kentucky. They like to chirp. They like to get the opposing team on edge, and they're going to push the issue on the bases. They're typically throwing strikes. They typically make all the plays they need. So LSU is going to have to go in there with both the offense and defense and pitching working to take that series. It's a very important series for both teams.
You'll get him on Twitter at David Dellucci, SEC Network. Can't wait for basketball to end so Rally Cap can return. We're almost there, Luch.
April the 12th. Get ready.
Looking forward to it, man. Thanks, Luch. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We visit with David Dellucci here every Monday during the baseball season recap, the weekend that was in the SEC. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. 3 things I always say. Patented, non-toxic dry fog. Patented, nobody else can do it. Non-toxic, safe for family, pets, plants, dry fog. So you don't have to worry about how it might affect your sheetrock, your carpet, your furniture. They come in, they spray, close the doors, windows, let the fog dwell, kills everything down to the spores, mold, all of it. As soon as the fog dissipates, you're back in. Free, clean, clears, clean smelling. Get rid of that toxic mold. Parish Restoration. Go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. By the way, they do work not just in Louisiana. Mississippi, the Panhandle of Florida. Recently, you've gotten some contracts. I don't know that I'm actually at liberty to say. But when I can tell you more, I will. But anyway, commercial, residential, giant buildings, your home, wherever. Parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us. It's been a busy show. So LSU is going to be on the practice field for the first time under Lane Kiffin on Tuesday morning. We do have media availability. Last hour, I gave you a quick overview of the offense and maybe some things to watch. Let me come back. I want to do the defense, and then bottom of this hour, Sean Fazende, Fox 8 will be here, talk about what he saw at Pro Day out at LSU. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks in half an hour. Ton to do. Glad you're here. It's a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows.
After further review.
Love telling you every day about the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Renaissance, of course, Baton Rouge, sprawling hotel right there on Bluebonnet across the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Row. There's so much to do at Renaissance. Of course, if you're a guest of the hotel, they have all the amenities, right? They have the office center, they have the workout facility, the pool. They've got Tallulah, great dining experience there. The terrace, which is sort of the indoor-outdoor flow of Tallulah, and the bar. Beautiful guest rooms. You know, something unique in the literal sense about the Renaissance is every Renaissance is unique to that market. So, for example, if you go to the front desk, you'll see the sculpture behind the front desk. It is a 2-scale model of the Mississippi River and all of its tributaries. When you look at the carpet, those are made to be replicas of crab traps. So you'll notice the wallpaper in the bedrooms as well. It's like a Cajun dictionary. Everything about Renaissance Baton Rouge is truly unique to Louisiana. So check it out today, right there in Bluebonnet. Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
All right, cruising along here in hour number 3. Glad you're aboard with us. Remember, Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Got those beautiful new roller shades. Control light, temperature, and everything as with their windows. Custom made for your home. Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Okay, last hour, we gave you a little thumbnail preview of LSU's offense. Muse, if you would, our little music interlude there. Let's talk some LSU defense as they push off from the dock here in spring.
You like that?
Good job.
Hey.
Nailed it. Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Although you're not really an old dog.
So I'm an old dog now?
Well, you are our longest tenured producer here, Muse.
That's impressive, man. It really
I've
is.
run a lot of them off.
Yeah, you have. I just keep coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you leave milk out for a cat,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that the saying? Is that the saying?
Cassie,
is that the saying? Do you know that saying?
I don't know.
Leave milk for a cat? No?
I was going to say feed like a stray dog or something, but yeah, I mean, same thing.
Feed a cat? Milk. Okay. Let's look at each of the 3 levels of the LSU defense and start on the defensive line at tackle. Remember, Jacoby and Guillory, he gone. Bernard Gooden, gone. Ahmad Bro, transfer portal. Buddy Mathis, transfer portal. Zion Williams, transfer portal. That defensive line got gutted. You returned Dom McKinley, and you went into the portal and added Stephylan Green from Clemson, Malik Blockton from Auburn. The wild card here is the freshman 5-star Richard Anderson. With those 4 guys right there, McKinley, Green, Blockton, Anderson, that could be a 4-man rotation on the interior of the defensive line. But it'll be really interesting to see how that rotation may materialize among those 4 guys and others who might try to factor their way into it. Remember, Lamar Brown, 5-star, number 1 player in the country, is not enrolled yet. U-High does not allow them to early enroll, so he won't be on campus. I mean, well, I guess technically he's literally on campus. He won't be with the football team participating until June. So no Lamar Brown. And it's also worth noting that when Lamar Brown was on this show last summer, he told us LSU was recruiting him as an edge, not as an interior defensive lineman, not as an offensive lineman. He wanted to play defense. They had him recruiting him to play edge, and he was working out with Kevin Peoples as an edge. So that's a big edge at 6'5", nearly 300 pounds. But that's likely where Lamar Brown at least will start when he gets here in June. Speaking of the edge spot, similar to tackle, Patrick Payton, gone. Jack Pyburn, gone. Jamari Butler, gone. You lost so much of your veteran talent at defensive end. Gabe Relaford's coming off of injury. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, he does in spring drills. Remember, last year in spring, you had Perkins and Whit Weeks coming off of injury. Neither participated in spring last year. Feeling that Relaford, even though he was injured early in the season, likely is not going to participate much. We'll start to get that answer. But then you got Ross and Brown and Woods, and of course, Prince Wilumon Mielen, the number 1 edge in the transfer portal. Those 4 guys, it's going to be fascinating to watch how that position group works itself out. Stands to reason Umon Mielen and a healthy Relaford will probably be your starters, but when you have a guy like Ross, who's a former 5-star, if he gets into the mix as an every down edge, part of that rotation, could be a massively impactful guy with so much attention being given Prince Wilumon Mielen. But that edge position will be fascinating to watch how those rotations, like defensive tackle, will work out. The one position where LSU didn't lose anybody was linebacker. Stunning. Now West Weeks graduated, right? But you prioritized, as we said, returning 5 players with an asterisk. There were 3 on offense with Trey'Dez Green, Harlan Berry, and Braylon Moore. Got them all. Defensively, the 2 you really prioritized were Whit Weeks, DJ Pickett, and then PJ Woodland was the 3rd with the asterisk. But Whit comes back, and you added TJ Daugherty. Daugherty comes over from Ole Miss. He led the SEC in tackles. So Whit, who was one of the leading tacklers in the country 2 years ago, Daugherty, who was the leading tackler in the SEC this year, are going to be your starters. But then you also returned everybody else. Keys, Singleton, Keelan Moses, Charles Ross, your entire linebacker group is back. Zach Weeks. So you actually have a position group with great veteran leadership there in Witt and Daugherty, really good, experienced young backups in Keys and Singleton, and the youth movement behind all of them. Blake Baker's linebacker room, and I guess by extension, remember Chris Kiffin is going to be working with the linebackers, whereas Blake Baker is primarily going to work with the star position this year. That's going to be maybe the best position group on this defense because of the experience, the depth, and the talent that they have. So we talked about the corners, and you wanted to retain Pickett and Woodland. You got them both. They'll be your starters. The big question there is how all of the depth behind them, the depth pieces behind them, start to work out. Also worth noting, Jakeem Jackson does return after transferring here from Florida a year ago when he was coming off of injury. Could very well work into the mix as a guy that maybe is that nickel, that third defensive back. Or maybe you're talking about one of those talented freshmen that could very well come in and fill that role as well, like Pickett did a season ago. But keep an eye on Jakeem Jackson maybe as that nickelback this year. And finally, there's safety. So remember, Deshaun Spears, as we understand it, is moving to star. And so you've struggled to find someone to really fill that role that's a natural build in that role. 2 years ago, it was Major Burns, and while Burns was good, a good physical player near the line, he struggled mightily in coverage. Last year was Harold Perkins. You played him in space. And there were times Perkins was really good and real productive, but also there were times he turned and struggled to turn and cover or play against the run. So Spears is probably the prototypical mold for that position, and that would allow you to get Spears, Cooley, and Boise State transfer safety Ty Benefield on the field all at the same time. Now, Benefield's interesting because they went all in on him. As I was told from someone within the program, he was the only guy at safety that they really targeted and recruited. They were all in on Benefield at safety, and they got him. Now, Mansour Delane's younger brother, Fahim Delane, transferred as well. He's a depth piece. I wouldn't expect much from him this season, but could very well in 2027 be a really impactful guy. But Benefield was the one that they targeted from the onset, and he has, as I understand it, exceeded every expectation that they had for him so far. But Cooley, Benefield are likely going to be your safeties. Spears will be your star position, and we'll see how the depth starts to fill in behind them. Don't have many questions on the defensive side. You have a lot of returning production, a lot of talent, a lot of veteran players. The real questions are mostly going to come on the offensive side, where it is a total overhaul. All right, LSU, it's the practice field on Tuesday morning for the first time in spring. We do have media availability it doesn't say. Okay, it's open to the media through the individual drills. So we'll get a good solid 15 minutes. A lot of people have asked, what we think we're going to get to see. I think it's important to note that Brian Kelly, the access he gave us, I tried to impress this upon people when I would talk about it. Like, the access Brian Kelly gave us was just atypical for anywhere. When I would tell people in other markets like that we got to go watch full practices in 11-on-11, they're like mouth agape. That just doesn't happen. So I don't anticipate we're going to get the access to practice under Kiffin that we did under Kelly. That's okay. It's covered this team for 15 years with no access. Les Miles was as paranoid a coach as you'd ever see. So we'll make do. But what we see, we'll certainly let you know. And we're looking forward to having those spring practice reports for you. And, of course, we'll have tons of coverage over at LouisianaSports.net. Hey, we're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. We talk all the time. Of course, if you're in agriculture, everybody knows about First South Farm Credit. They've helped Louisianians and Louisiana farmers for more than 100 years. And we talk often about getting that 50, 100 acres in Clinton or St. Francisville or wherever it may be to build your family's dream home. Maybe it's that recreational property in Mississippi. Maybe you want to build your camp. Maybe it's your hunting property. Or maybe it's a place with a pond on it where you can go and fish and it's sort of your weekend getaway, your escape. The bottom line is, if you're thinking of buying land, you want to do business with a lender that their expertise is in land loans. And that's what First South Farm Credit has done for more than 100 years, since 1916. Remember, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. So go to FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Just a very quick touch on special teams. Remember, Damian Ramos is gone, and he leaves LSU as the program's all-time scoring leader. You did sign Scott Starzik out of the portal from Arkansas, and you still have Sean Perrette coming back. And then Grant Chadwick is back at punter, but you also added Mulhern from Florida. So you've added both a punter and a long snapper from Florida coming over with the special teams coach from Florida as well. So I don't know how competitive these special teams battles will be, but that is something worth watching because Damian Ramos had that spot on lock. And then kickoff as well, because Aaron Burrell was your kickoff guy. He's now at North Carolina playing for Bill Belichick. So of lesser concern, but certainly notable, is the special teams battles in spring. All right, it's After Further Review. Pro Day was today. Sean Fazende was there. He'll join us next. Tell us what he saw at AFR.
After Further Review.
We are definitely into the time now where, with the weather heating up, it is time to call River City's 1 Hour Air for your preseason AC tune-up. Now, I mention this all the time. Erica and I, when we got married, we joined their maintenance club, and it is totally worth it. The annual fee you pay effectively covers your seasonal maintenance. So you get the AC tune-up and the heater safety check for free. That's complimentary. So River City's 1 Hour Air calls me to schedule that. I don't even have to remember. They call me to set up that seasonal maintenance. It extends the life of your unit. I always say it's like getting an oil change for your car. So that effectively pays for it. It also gives you membership club pricing if you need a repair or a replacement, and you get front-of-the-line service as well, priority service. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Call for your preseason AC tune-up. Do not go through these warm weather months without getting your AC tuned up. From River City's 1 Hour Air.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
I mean, the fact that we have not had Juvenile set it off today, a little surprised me.
There's still one more break to go.
But that's always our final segment.
That's true.
Music that you play. It's a little surprised.
Mm.
Shout out Juvie, the OG. Everyone out here listening to Set It Off from Boosie. Not that's a banger, but let's not pretend like Juvie ain't the OG of Set It Off. Sean Fazende knows that. What up, dude?
Hey, what's up?
How was Pro Day?
Good. It was good. I thought 3 players in particular helped themselves, but I thought it was a pretty good day. Always a good stop on the Pro Day circuit up in Baton Rouge. So a lot of NFL team personnel there watching everything. So I thought it was a pretty good day up in Baton Rouge.
Let's talk about the 3. I could imagine 2 were Mansour Delane and Harold Perkins. Who was I would assume.
Yes.
And the third was who?
I thought Nuss helped himself. I really did. I thought, first off, I ran into, we talked to his dad after, and then after we kind of stopped talking, the press conference wise, and he walked off, I said, hey, how many passes did Garrett throw? He goes, well, he was scripted to go about 50, but we counted something up to upwards of 65 or 66. And then I saw it was actually 72. He threw an incredible amount of passes today, and it was all over the field. First level, second level, third level. And I think what you saw today was the velocity, the touch. I think what he's done a good job of this pre-draft sort of circuit for Nuss is just showing that the injury was very real, and it really impacted his play his last year in LSU. He had such high hopes for that, senior season. So at least he's successfully answering the question that, the health was a major part of his lack of production last year. And at least he's showing now that he can, perform a little more in line with what we saw his junior season. Now, I'm not sure how far up that moves him on draft boards, but I do know he's helped himself a little bit throughout the Senior Bowl and, of course, the Pro Day as well.
Is there? I saw the Saints social media were there and were very active, sharing videos and things like that. Any Any sense of what the Saints contingent was there looking for today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were obviously big contingent there to see Nuss for obvious reasons. But, you also got to evaluate the quarterback as well. But, look, there's a huge need for the Saints at the cornerback position. And it just so happens one of the best, or maybe the best in the country, is right there in Baton Rouge, who dazzled today with a 4.35 40. And look, it wasn't fluky. I mean, he looked fast. It was one of those like, wow, okay, yeah, he's moving. And then you saw the time, and it matched what you saw. And he checked in at good measurables. Did well in the kind of the position workouts. So, I mean, from a Saints standpoint, they're sitting there at number 8, so they have a top 10 pick. There's potential top 10 prospect right in front of them. So I would say Delane was probably high on their list, but there's other needs as well. And the Saints have always valued the second and third days of the draft. And you mentioned Harold Perkins. I'm so intrigued with him because I mean that 40 time is unbelievable, 4.38, but it's a question of what exact position does he play at the next level, because he's tried so many things at college. Where can he find his role in what system, and where does that place him in the NFL draft? Because I could see a very creative coach having a very good vision for a guy like that, but I could also see some traditionalists being like, there's a little bit of unknown here with this player, but he's got all this athleticism. It's just a matter of where you put him.
What do you think, Sean, where he fits?
Oh, I still think if he could, I still think he's much more of an attack style player who goes downhill, sort of kind of plays downhill naturally. I still think with the right coaching, he could be a second level player. He can be an off the ball linebacker. If he could just, get a little sort of development when it comes to sort of reading what's in front of you at a very, short distance at that second level, understanding certain concepts. I think ultimately, given his size and stature, that's probably where I would see him. But look, the way he gets after the passer, the way he sort of attacks, I mean, you can see him as a sub pass rush type player, undersized type player at that. And, as far as the star role goes, that would be interesting, a linebacker playing sort of that star type role, or a linebacker type player playing that star role at the next level. So my instinct would say second level linebacker, but again, I mean, if you're a creative coach, maybe you can find another role to use him in.
Any of the receivers catch your eye?
Yeah, I thought Xavier Thomas looked really good today. That's a guy probably more of a day 3 type prospect, but showed some speed, showed some ball skills. I think he's had a pretty good sort of pre-draft work throughout this whole process. Certainly looks the part. It looked like he had a really good chemistry with Nuss today. Considering just talk about Nuss had missed the back end of the season. So I thought Xavier Thomas may have helped himself as well in this class too.
Sean Fazende's with us, Fox 8 New Orleans. Get him on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8 if you want to give him a follow there. What about West Weeks? It seemed like his 40 time got an awful lot of attention. Is this a guy who might actually have have draftable potential?
Possibly. I think you could maybe talk yourself into a draftable grade with a player like that. I think he's probably going to have to excel at special teams at the next level, at least to get on to perhaps be a day 3 selection or to get on a roster at some point. But I do know this: when he ran that, I know it was officially the unofficial was 4.46, and you could tell by the way his two brothers were there, the way they reacted, were very excited. So I knew the time was pretty good, and I know it officially got bumped up to 4.50, but that is a really good time for him. And look, he's had an interesting career. He's certainly been on the field quite a bit at LSU. So I think that's a guy that, you get into an interview room with him, you look at his tape, you look at his measurables, and you look at now a guy that's, got decent speed. There might be a chance for him to be potentially a late kind of day 3 draft choice as well, perhaps a priority free agent at the next level.
Hey, Sean, before you go, let me get a thought, if I could, on the Saints. The opening wave of free agency was obviously busy. Draft's about a month away. What do you anticipate they might do here in this next month, the second wave of free agency, and then leading up to the draft?
Yeah, I could see them. Probably. I don't know if you're going to see quote unquote big names being big money being spent on bigger names that are left in the second wave. I think you'll probably see They went hard out the gate, which is something that they don't normally do. So I could see this being a little more measured in this second wave. There's still good value here in this second wave. I could see the wide receiver position being something that they address. Cornerback is still an interesting one for me, just based off the loss of Alontae Taylor. But from what I understand, there's some guys they like in-house as well that could potentially see, in that inside position. And then obviously you have the draft as well. And then they get into sort of the heavy into the draft, which obviously they've been in since January. And then there's that late wave free agency post draft where you'd be surprised some guys who can land spots, high end players that you can sign that wave of free agency. For instance, Tyrann Mathieu signed that part of free agency a couple of years back before he retired. So I see them being semi-active, but at some point they'll shift really hard to the draft evaluations as well.
He is Sean Fazende, Fox 8 in New Orleans. Good enough to join us. He was at LSU's Pro Day earlier today. Always appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, bud.
Be well. It's after further review. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Of course, we trust the lake with our health care in the Moscona household. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, we're taking Drew to Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. We have Drew's 6-month checkup with his neurologist, Dr. Shaw, who's awesome, by the way. It's amazing that you can get world-class health care for so many different subspecialties right here at home. And that's the lake. I told my primary care physician, Dr. Curtis Chastain, part of the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Just mentioned Drew, obviously, has a lot of specialists that care for him at Our Lady of the Lake. If it's cancer or stroke, heart health, pediatrics, they do it all. And they bring world-class care right here at home. It's Our Lady of the Lake, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. That's where you can go to learn more about the Championship Health Partnership between LSU and Our Lady of the Lake. Care for the champions at LSU and the everyday champions like you and me all throughout our area. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. That's Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Okay, we're not going to final break. Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks as we put a button here on this Monday edition of AFR. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Pretty good weekend for the Otter in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. A 4-day barrage. So we'll see what the Otters got on tap for us tonight. We'll do that as we continue next to wrap up on AFR.
AFR.
Hey, I want to remind you that if you're thinking about selling your home, or if you're just curious of what your home's worth, take advantage of the home value tool that Darren James has up at his website. It's agent225.com, agent225.com. Go to the website right now, agent225.com. I strongly recommend you do it. I mean, even if you're not selling your home and you're just curious, what is your home appraised for now? There are national websites that can give you a Zestimate, but that's using national data. So what Darren did is he worked to build their algorithm using local market data to get an accurate representation of what your home is worth right now. It's a free tool at the website. So go to agent225.com, agent225.com. Just scroll down. You'll see where it says home value. You just type in your address, boom, hit enter, and it'll be right there for you. Agent225.com. Check it out online right now. It's agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
What? What?
What we've been talking about all day.
We talk about a lot of things all day. What do you mean specifically? Oh, dang. Yeah.
Not too late.
It's not too late. Hold on.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment. Another show where Muso disappoints me.
Hey. Come on, man. Your boy's hanging on by a thread right now. Give me a little slack.
You said the remote tech OTB this morning. So he was at U Club at 5:30.
Like, you gotta give me some slack. I'm not asking for a lot.
That would be devastating to the bit if I gave you
I
slack.
know.
It would
It would. No, it would. But it's just like, come on, man.
It's way better this way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
All right. So is Jimmy where we?
And I have heard this song. Actually, thank you very much.
I don't believe you.
Well, you can believe me all you want. I have heard this song.
I don't.
I might have even played this song during Riot Radio before.
Cassie doesn't believe you either. Would you please make sure that this is...
It's the radio version.
Okay.
It's the radio version.
I just had a moment.
No,
I just had a
I
moment.
know,
I was like, oh no.
There he goes again,
Hey.
not giving me anything, man.
On this day, when you just said, like, give
That's
me some
true,
slack,
yeah.
I mean, come on. If ever there was a day. I mean, that's most days. But if ever there was a day, I needed to make sure. All right. So is Jimmy?
Let me try to call him again. He's been silencing his notifications like we don't call him every day. Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. No, we'll wait. We'll wait. It's after further review. We're here listening to Juvie, waiting to see if Jimmy answers his phone so we could do Otter Locks. Cassie, you like this song?
Oh, I've never heard this song before.
Are you hearing it now? Do you like it?
I can't really hear the lyrics, but the beat's good.
What's it talking about? I mean, you're a NOLA chick. I mean, you don't like Juvie?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Juvenile is?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, you know Back That Thing Up?
Yes.
Juvenile.
Okay.
His most famous song.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Okay. You really got to go get an education, Cassie. I mean, you can't be from New Orleans and not know who Juvenile is. I mean, you don't have to know every song, but you got to know who he is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have homework.
I'll do some research.
If I call Adam right now, will he know who Juvenile is?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Cassie, I'm going to go get my 400 Degrees CD, and I'm going to give it to you. Now, you have to find a place where you can listen to a CD, but I'm going to give it to you. Otter, what up?
What's up, buddy? No college basketball
I know.
tonight, but we do have some NBA. So, the big theme in the NBA this year has been the tanking. So we're fading 9. There's 9 teams that were tanking before the All-Star break.
Love it.
So we're going to adjust the line to an alt-line parlay with 3 teams that are definitely pushing it out there and still have something to play with. Of course, the defending champs, Oklahoma City, they're 16.5-point favorites. We're going to push that line all the way down to 6.5. They're on an 11-game win streak. They're trying to get that number 1 overall seed in the West. Orlando is neck and neck with Atlanta. We're taking both of those teams. Orlando, we're pushing that line down to 6.5, and Atlanta minus 5.5. I know it only pays even money, but that's what we're going to roll with on that one. Then we got one play, and it's kind of a public team, the most public team in all of basketball. Remember Luka when he got his last technical, and he was going to have a mandatory, sit out one game. He got that one rescinded.
Okay.
So he is still playing. The Lakers are minus 1.5 at Detroit. No Cade Cunningham for Detroit, obviously reevaluating his serious situation. Also Stewart, one of their best players. He is out tonight. Luka on this 9-game winning streak for the Lakers, averaging 40 points a game, 7 assists. We take the Lakers minus 1.5 straight play.
All right, so Lakers minus 1.5, and then an alt-line parlay, which actually, Jimmy, right now, Thunder minus 6.5, Magic minus 6.5, and Hawks minus 5.5 is coming back at plus $1.15 right now.
Much better.
Yes.
Yeah, when I gave it to Hunt, it was minus 103.
Yep.
1 minute
Minus
remaining.
103. So, yeah, plus
And
$1.15
that's
right
that
now.
DraftKings. That's
Yeah,
that DraftKings.
yes,
So
that's
it's
it,
like
yeah.
the same stuff.
Yep, that's at DraftKings. Okay, so a couple of plays. Remember, you can always get Jimmy's plays up at LouisianaSports.net. Hunt usually posts it around 3 o'clock shortly thereafter. So if you want to get it, you can get it at LouisianaSports.net. Where are you tomorrow?
we're at Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
Very good. You can catch Jimmy and Charlie every weekday, 11 to 1, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, YouTube, stream, all those good places. All right, man, good luck tonight. Thank you.
All right, good luck.
We'll see you. All right, it's After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Shout out to Brandon, Holly, and the gang, as always, being such an awesome part of our family here at AFR and letting us be a part of theirs. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, shades too. Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. All right, that's going to do it for us. Big shout out. Thanks to Greg Allman. Thanks to David Dellucci, Sean Fazende, Moose, Cassie. Appreciate y'all. I'm not sure when Paul's coming back, but he'll be back eventually. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Supper Club. Can't go there tonight. Closed Sunday, Monday, but tomorrow they'll be reopened. So when you lay your head on your pillow tonight, or when you're having dinner tonight, eating whatever it is you're going to be eating, just think about what dinner is going to be like tomorrow when you go to Supper Club. When you knock off of work, when you call your significant other and say, hey, don't cook tomorrow. We're going out. Think about what it's going to be like when you take that first delicious bite of that veal parm. Ugh. Maybe it's the Ora King salmon. Or maybe you want a delicious steak just because you love delicious steak, and because it's a Tuesday, you want to eat a steak. There's no better place to go to have that world-class dining experience than Supper Club. Get your reservations at supperclubbtr.com. Online, supperclubbtr.com.